Once again, hi everyone. We're going to wait about another 30 seconds or so to get started. So if you'll sit tight, we'll begin shortly. All right, I think we'll go ahead and begin. Once again, welcome everyone, and thanks so much for joining today's Solar Prize Round 7 informational webinar. My name is Jackie Petrie. I am on the NREL communications team that works for the Solar Prize. Before we get started, I want to go over just a few quick housekeeping items and reminders about today's webinar. We are recording today's presentation, and we will make the recording and the slides available on HeroX in the next couple days. So make sure you're following Round 7 on HeroX, and you'll get an email notification when those are available. If at any point during today's presentation you have a question, feel free to send it to us in the Q&A box. That should be at the bottom of your screen. You'll notice both a Q&A and a chat box. We ask that you try to keep all your questions in the Q&A box so we don't miss them. We'll be monitoring the chat, but we just want to make sure that we capture everyone's questions, and we'll get to those at the end of the webinar in a Q&A session. And if you're having any technical difficulties, feel free to send me a direct chat and I'll try to help you out. With that, I am going to hand things over to Rebecca Bennett, who is one of the prize administrators for the Solar Prize Round 7.
Thank you, Jackie, and welcome everyone. We are really excited to talk Solar Prize Round 7, so we'll dive right in. So we're going to cover quite a few things regarding Solar Prize. We'll do a general overview, discuss eligibility, go over important dates and events, what you need to get ready to submit to the Ready contest, the first contest of the prize, and what you can do to get support for your submission. And then we hope to have some time for questions at the end. So let's talk Solar Prize. So the purpose of the American Made Challenges and the Solar Prize is to energize American ingenuity in solar innovation, empower innovators to rapidly transform ideas into prototypes, and engage a network of labs, facilities, and partners to help prepare for market. And all of these contribute to the big idea of Solar Prize. So Solar Prize Round 1 launched, I believe, in 2018, and since we've come quite a long way, we've awarded 140 teams for their ideas and helped them put their innovation on the fast track to reach the market. And now, of course, we're excited to open up Solar Prize Round 7. And this one has the most funding on the table, as well as a new contest. So Solar Prize is a multi-million-dollar prize competition with 3 phases. There are the first one is the Ready contest. That is the phase we are in currently. Then we have the Set contest and the Go contest. And those, there is a down select from the Ready into the Set and the Go contest. There is also what we call our Jedi contest, which is somewhat of a bonus prize. We'll cover the details later, but that is our Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion contest. So we want to see your Jedi ideas in your Solar Prize innovations. And then the newest addition to Solar Prize Round 7 is the Power Up contest, which has additional funding, and we'll discuss the details of that contest in just a couple slides. And of course, within the American Made Challenges, we also have our network of support organizations to assist you with your ideas, designs, and prototypes to help prepare you for the market. And that is our American Made Network. So one question that we do get a lot is, what is a prize? How does it work? And a lot of people are familiar with grants, and they do assume that a prize is similar, but it's actually very different. Grants have all of these different steps. You have to write and submit your paper, hope that you're accepted. Then you have to go through very lengthy reviews, negotiations, and that's before you can even begin performing. And then, of course, you have to prepare and submit for reimbursement, and then that's issued upon review. Whereas the prizes is you're doing the work now. You achieve the predefined goal set with the prize, which we'll go over shortly. You complete the submission package, it's reviewed, and then winners receive payment. Prizes are a cash award, so there are no strings attached like with a grant. You are free to spend the money to move your innovation forward however you please. So with that, let's talk a little bit more about the contest. So the way this prize is structured, again, there are 3 contests. There are $3 million in the prize pool in total, as well as $900,000 in vouchers, and then $200,000 in the optional Jedi contests, and then a $100,000 prize pool available in the new Power Up contest. So the ultimate goal of the Solar Prize is to put innovation on the fast track. We want competitors who have an idea to formulate a plan and then proceed through the other contests of the competition to turn that idea into a proof of concept. Following the plan that they've designed during the Ready contest, and within a year, develop a prototype and identify a pilot partner. And the contests, the funding, and the resources are there to help propel the ideas forward. So the Ready contest, that is where we are at now. This is when you submit your plan to bring your idea to market. 20 teams will be selected and awarded $50,000. There is also the additional Jedi contest, which has additional funding, and the Power Up contest, which are both in the Ready stage, and we'll go over in the next slide. Those 20 semifinalists will then go to compete in the next phase, the SET contest. And the SET contest is where you'll design a proof of concept, you'll start customer discovery, and you'll begin taking the plan that you submitted in Ready and work to reach the goals and the milestones that you've set in that plan. 10 of the teams of those 20 will be selected as finalists, and they will win $100,000 cash, as well as a $75,000 voucher to work with national labs or eligible facilities for testing, prototyping, or more. And from there, you move into the Go contest. This is the last phase, and it is where you develop that prototype and you identify pilot partners or paying customers in the case of a software solution, and you show off your commercialization plan. You'll have started work with the voucher that you won during the SET contest to help you accelerate your solution from design to prototype, and you connect with the power connectors and our network to help you identify partners and customers. Of the 10 finalists that win the SET contest, 2 of them will be selected as winners of the Go contest. They will receive $500,000 cash and another $75,000 voucher. And again, there is an additional Jedi contest that they can opt into for additional funding. All of the contests take roughly 4 months. So this is a very fast-paced prize with roughly a year in total from start to finish. So the Jedi contest, again, this is our Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Prize. So this offers an additional $200,000 of additional prize funds throughout each of the contests. This is a completely optional component. You do not have to have a Jedi component to submit to the Solar Prize, but of course we want to see what your Jedi solutions are. And what that means is we're looking for you to describe how your solution addresses solar market barriers facing underserved communities and what you're doing to work to substantially advance your approach towards the Jedi goals as they progress through the competition. There is funding available at each of the contests. So there's $100,000 that will be split equally up to 10 of the semifinalists in the Ready contest. There's $50,000 that will be split up to between up to 5 of the Solar Prize finalists in the SET contest, and up to 2 Go competitors can win Jedi funding during the Go contest, which is another $50,000. I will note for the Ready contest, in order to win Jedi, you must win the Ready contest. So that is the Jedi contest, and I will cover it more in depth in just a little bit. And then last, new to this round is the Power Up contest. There is a $100,000 prize pool that will be split up to 10 teams who are not selected as Ready contest winners. I would say simply, this contest is kind of like a runner-up award, but you can still win a cash award as well as tailored business support from one of our power connectors in the American Made Network to help you refine your technology, improve your business plan, and validate your product market fit. So again, we will pick up to 10 teams to split this $100,000 prize pool. And again, it's designed to support and advance new diverse teams that have very compelling applications but are not selected as Ready contest winners. They'll receive support if chosen from a power connector following the Ready winner announcement. And there are no additional submission components for this contest. The Ready contest submission package is used to evaluate the teams that are selected as Power Up contest winners. So let's talk eligibility. We get the question a lot, am I eligible to submit to this prize? And the answer is likely yes. Any US-based individual or team with a desire to transform an idea that can be commercialized in 3 to 5 years through the later phases of the prize into impactful new solutions and develop those ideas into prototypes, they're encouraged to submit. So you could be an entrepreneur, you could be a student, you could be a scientist, you could be someone at home who has a great idea to improve a solar panel. And the prize is used to take that idea and help you make a plan and then turn it into reality. How are you going to commercialize that plan in 3 to 5 years? That is the ultimate goal, is commercialization. So make sure you know going into this how you're going to transform that big idea into something that you can bring to market. And of course, we do have the more nitty-gritty eligibility. So individuals, teams of individuals, private entities, and non-federal government entities, such as states, countries, tribes, municipalities, and academic institutions, are eligible to compete in the Ready contest. Individual competitors must be a US citizen or permanent resident. A group of individuals, the online account holder must be a US citizen or permanent resident. Private entities must be incorporated in and maintain a primary place of business in the US. And if you submit as an academic institution, you must be based in the US. A single competitor or team can submit a maximum of 3 submissions. I do encourage you to read the rules very thoroughly and make sure you understand all of the eligibility requirements of the prize. And I do want to flag, for the Set and Go contest, competitors must be a for-profit business entity. As this prize is about bringing ideas to market, we do require all of our competitors who win the Ready contest to incorporate as a for-profit business entity as they move into the later contests. And our power connectors can help you figure out how to do that if you need assistance. And so we get a lot of questions about, is my idea right for Solar Prize? And so we wanted to talk a little bit about the kinds of ideas that we're looking for. So Solar Prize Round 7 does accept hardware and software ideas. And as I go into this, I do want to preface, we can't advise you on what your idea should be. But we do have our power connectors who can provide feedback on your specific innovation, and we do encourage you to contact them. We will provide all of their contact information towards the end of this presentation. But the ideas that we're looking for hardware, those are efforts to create and support advanced manufacturing solutions and products that could drive down costs within manufacturing, adoption, installation, etc. Anything that helps push the solar industry forward. For software, it's a little bit broader. We accept business models, design tools, anything that can help with regulatory compliance, customer acquisition, financing, operations and maintenance, grid integration costs, and advances in load disaggregation and control, as well as energy storage and increasing resiliency. The big thing to highlight, though, is that these need to be commercialized in 3 to 5 years. So yes, you have a great idea. How far along is it? What can you use within the Solar Prize to help you push that closer to getting your idea to commercialization? But ultimately, you're making a case for how your idea will change or advance the solar industry. And I highly encourage everyone to refer to the rules. The rules give very in-depth background and information on the kind of ideas that we're looking for with this prize. And again, reach out to a power connector and they can provide some support and some insight. And of course, we always get questions on the Jedi contests in this realm as well. So it's not easy necessarily to explain the kind of Jedi ideas that we are looking for tied with your Solar Prize innovations, because it's going to look different across whatever your idea is. And so we focus the Jedi contest in 4 areas. The first is opportunity space, and that's where we want our competitors to rigorously assess the needs of underserved communities and uncover key insights from potential customers or end users of the product. And from there, solution development. You are looking to design and develop a solution to overcome those identified barriers within those opportunity spaces. And then look at market impact. You'll be measuring progress and validating your assumptions with potential customers, users, or market experts during development and testing to demonstrate the solution's impact and need in underserved communities. And then network activation. You'll advance your proposed solution by cultivating a diverse network of mentors, partners, which can include the American Made Network, as well as funders or other relevant entities. So maybe you have a good connection with someone who is in an underserved community. You could work with them to see what that community needs. Additionally, the Jedi solutions, again, they address solar market barriers to adoption and deployment. And so we want to just remind you that the Jedi contest competitors must also demonstrate your understanding of the unique needs of the communities that you plan to engage, your credibility with the community. Maybe you have a shared background or previous experience working with underserved or disadvantaged communities, and then your commitment to long-term support. How are you going to do this in the long term? We want to see that. And I'll cover all of the submission materials shortly, and you'll see that these are the criteria that we assess for the Jedi contest. And again, if you're not sure if you have a Jedi idea or you need help adding Jedi goals to your innovation, contact a power connector for support and insight. And additionally, what you can do is you can refer to previous winning ideas. We are on Solar Prize round 7, so we have 6 rounds of previous winners. The Jedi contest in particular has only been active for Solar Prize round 5 during the software track and Solar Prize round 6. But we highly encourage that you check out some of these winners that have been awarded for the Jedi prizes in the past. And you can also visit our American Made Challenges Hero X, where you can find all of the previous rounds of Solar Prize, and you can refer to those the Teams tab on Hero X, which I'll show you where that is, to access the videos of the previous winners of each contest. So you can see what the previous ideas have been that we've selected for funding. Important dates and events. So right now, we do encourage you to follow Solar Prize Round 7 on HeroX and get started on your idea. If you follow the prize, you'll receive updates on events and reminders of the approaching deadline. Uh, You'll also see on the HeroX, there is a spot for the timeline. That's where we'll list workshops, webinars, and other events hosted by us, NREL, or our Power Connectors that can help you with various parts of your submission. Maybe you need help with customer discovery. Maybe you have no idea how to do the business side of things and you want to find a way to connect to people. Attending those workshops and webinars is a great place to get started. And then make sure you mark your calendar. September 27th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time is the deadline to submit an entry to the Ready contest. And so what are you submitting to the Ready contest? First off, make sure you read the rules. The rules are available online. We will post these links in the chat and they are posted all over our HeroX page. Make sure you read the rules and you understand what the contest is about and you understand what you need to do with all of the submission materials. And so I think it's important to go over the Ready contest goals. The Ready contest is to rapidly transform an important problem from a conceptual or early stage solution to a plan for building a proof of concept. So you will identify a problem solution fit. So develop a proposed solution that addresses a real world problem facing the solar industry. You will talk about your team's capabilities. Does your team have a background? Do you understand what you're talking about? Who are you? Where are you from? And what is your drive to accomplish the stated goals of your proposed solution? And then, of course, network engagement. We want you to cultivate relationships with members of the American Made Network or other entities, partners that can help maximize the likelihood of creating a viable business based on your proposed solution, as well as enhancing the quality of your submission package. And so what does that submission package look like? You'll be submitting a submission form on HeroX, and that includes the following 7 materials. We do have this is what the screenshot to the side is, a submission template. This helps guide you so you don't miss any of the required material that we request for in your submission package. So there is a 90-second video. This video will be made public. So please do not put any private secrets, things that you don't want the public to know about in this video, as we will use this video to help promote you and your idea. We also ask for the cover page, which is what the screenshot is, that goes before your narrative. Your narrative answers 4 questions about your problem, solution, your team, and your plan for your innovation in the Ready contest. This is not to exceed 2,500 words. New to Solar Prize Round 7 is the JEDI contest submission. This was previously, if you are familiar with previous rounds of Solar Prize, this was part of the technical narrative, and it has simply been separated into its own material for Solar Prize Round 7. Last is a 1 summary PowerPoint slide. Again, this will be made public, and it's just a quick snapshot of what your idea is. Then we will have a technical assistance request and then optional letters of commitment or support. And so let's talk about the video. This is your innovation in 90 seconds. Through the rules, we do give you suggested content for you to provide, and then what our reviewers will consider when reviewing your video or your technical narrative. So for the video, we want to see the real world problem you're solving, what your solution is and why it's transformative, who you are and why you have a competitive edge. And if you're opting into the Jedi contest, describe the specific Jedi barrier your solution is poised to address. I'll note here, this is your first impression. We do encourage you to be creative and focus on the content. And what we mean by that is we are not expecting Hollywood quality videos here. It is actually pretty common that we've seen videos filmed on people's phones. We've seen people do a lot of very interesting things just to make sure that they talk about the suggested content. And again, we encourage you to watch previous winners' videos. And as in addition to that, you can get feedback from the power connectors that we've talked about before you submit your submission. But this is the video. And again, refer to the rules for more information and the requirements of that video. Next is the technical narrative. So the technical narrative is the private portion of the submission. This is not public. People who go on to HeroX cannot access the technical narrative. So this is where you should be very specific with what you're talking about, because the audience is only going to be the expert reviewers who are under an NDA and the Department of Energy who is doing the selections for the prize. So the 4 questions that you're answering are: 1, problem. What is the problem and why is solving it important? 2, solution. What is your solution and why will it be successful? 3, accomplishments and team. What have you done to date and what qualities give you a competitive edge? And plan. What is your plan to achieve your goals? You'll note the word limit is 2,500 words, and there is also a limit on images, figures, graphs, tables, etc. of 5. If you go over this word limit, our reviewers are instructed to not read past the 2,500 word mark. So make sure you stay within the word limit. And remember your audience. Our expert reviewers are people from industry and the Department of Energy. They know what you're talking about. We don't need to hear you're solving climate change. We assume that's the ultimate goal. So be specific and pay attention to that word count. And so this is what we kind of provide to you within the rules for each of the questions. You'll notice that this one is for question 3. And we provide, again, suggested content and then the evaluation criteria. This, of course, is for that accomplishments and team question. And for those of you familiar with previous rounds, you'll notice that the evaluation has changed this year. And that is because all Solar Prize competitors are encouraged to incorporate diversity and inclusion principles into their organization's vision, mission, policies, and processes. Thus, the 4th evaluation criteria will assess the team's commitment to diversity, as well as its long and short-term plans for future recruitment, collaboration, and other related internal diversity strategies. So while this does sound like this is the Jedi contest, this is what we encourage our competitors to incorporate, and it will be assessed within your submission. I also wanted to flag the 4th question, the plan, as this is the focus of the Ready contest. What is your plan? This is where you'll describe where you are in your solutions development cycle. You'll define the goals that you're going to try to reach in the Set and the Go contests, as well as 1 year out. And we want to see a plan for high-level budget and a plan for how you're going to meet the goals between the Ready contest and the Go demo day, which would include a plan for assessment and feedback from relevant stakeholders. And we also want to know what risks you're going to face and the mitigation strategies you're going to use to overcome those. Again, we highly encourage you to review the rules and these submission materials closely and work with a power connector to answer your questions. And they can also help provide feedback on your actual technical narrative. Next, I want to go over the optional Jedi submission. So this is the new material for Solar Prize Round 7. Again, It is optional to participate in the Jedi contest, but if you do opt in, you are required to complete this submission. And so what we're asking, and if you, again, are familiar with previous rounds, these are the criterias that we're looking for. So describe your organization's value proposition to underserved communities and how your organization is integrating Jedi principles into your innovation. What makes your team uniquely capable to address the identified issues, and define your Jedi goals for the later contests and a one-year goal. Again, this material can only be up to 500 words max, but it's only required if you choose to compete in the optional Jedi contest. Next, we have our technical assistance request. This is for you to provide us up to a 2-page description of the areas where you need assistance. And so we highly encourage you to consider the capabilities of national labs, a private facility, or members of the American Made Network and how they can help you overcome the barriers to making your solution real and getting it commercialized in 3 to 5 years. Perhaps you need business support. Maybe you need help designing a prototype. Maybe you need help actually building the prototype. There are facilities and members of the American Made Network that can help you and assist you with those. So our technical assistance request is there for you to define your needs. And then we will make this request available to our American Made Network so that our connectors can reach out to you and help you with these barriers that you face. So we've talked a lot about HeroX, and that is our submission platform. It's where we have all of our updates, and this is what it looks like. So if you have not followed, we highly encourage you to press this button. If you haven't followed the challenge, it will say follow. You click it, you just have to provide an email and your name, and then you can have a HeroX account and you'll receive notifications of the updates that we post for this prize, and you'll be able to easily start an entry and a submission for the prize. I've mentioned a couple times, for updates on events, workshops, webinars, go to the timeline tab that's located here. And all of our HeroX pages for Solar Prize Round 7 and previous rounds have the same format. And so if you're looking to check out previous videos of competitors, you can click teams or entries and find an entry of a previous winner or competitor, and you can watch their video and see what they submitted during the Ready contest to get a good idea of what we're looking for from winners. You can also access the resources tab. The resources tab, we have a link to the rules. We also have all of the Power Connector contacts listed there, as well as the Ready contest submission template, our connector guidelines, and a lot more information. We'll also post the recording of this webinar to that resources tab, as well as releasing an update so that any of you can access it, and anyone following the prize will be able to access it as well. And so we've talked a lot about how to get support for your submission. Specifically, we've mentioned the American Made Network. So our American Made Network is growing and getting stronger every single day. We have over 400 connectors across the United States. And we also, within our network, are proud to be able to connect all of our teams to the 17 DOE national labs to be able to get you access to staff, resources, labs that are traditionally very hard to get. We're also always looking for new connectors to join the network. So if you're in the audience and you're interested in helping teams succeed, we'd love to have you join the network. And you could go to our website, and I'll actually bring up the link to the network tool in just a minute, and you can see where you would go to join the network. And the reason we allow, and it's been mentioned on a couple slides, we want you to connect with the network because we also have incentives for connectors to engage with you. So connector recognition awards are awarded to our connectors by competitors. So essentially you nominate a connector that assisted you. Maybe they provided you some business support. Maybe they provided you some legal advice. We do have connectors that cover all kinds of, they can help you with almost anything. But if you have a connector who really did help or recruit or support you during the Ready contest, you can nominate them on the submission form on HeroX when you're submitting, and they're eligible to receive $5,000 that they get that cash award. There's $100,000 available during the Ready contest, 5,000 for each of the 20 semifinalists, but there are 261,000 recognition rewards available total throughout throughout Solar Prize Round 7. Organizations must be an approved member of the American Made Network. So if you're working with someone closely and you want to be able to give them this connector recognition reward, have them join the network. As long as they join the network before the submission deadline on September 27th, they're going to be eligible to receive this recognition reward. And so how do you find and connect with a connector? You can use our network matching tool or explore the network on americanmadechallenges.org. We'll throw this link in the chat. You can also go to this link if you're interested in becoming a connector. Just follow it and go to I want to join the network, and you can become one of the connectors that teams can reach out to. And so we have, of course, mentioned the power connectors throughout this presentation. We have 4 power connectors for Solar Prize Round 7 that can help you with your submission materials, answer questions, help get you connected with partners, and their services are free to you as they are subcontracted with us. So we want you to engage with them because that's why they're there. And this year we have ADL Ventures, Yet2, the University of Arizona Center for Innovation, and VentureWell. All of their contacts are up on this slide. We also have them posted throughout HeroX under resources, the guidelines, as well as the FAQ, because we want you to be able to connect with them. So definitely reach out. We're coming to the end, so I want to circle back to the important dates. Be sure to follow Solar Prize Round 7 on HeroX. Check out the timeline on HeroX so you can find out when the workshops and webinars are. We will post recordings for those as they happen, so you will have access to them if you miss them. And then September 27th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That is the deadline to submit an entry for the Ready contest. And last, these are just our resources, sending you to our HeroX page, referring to the rules, the network tool. If you have any questions or you have questions later on that you need an answer to, reach out to us at solar.prize@nrel.gov. But get started, get working, and get ready to submit by September 27th. And Jackie, I'll call you back to start off questions.
Thanks, Rebecca. We definitely have a lot of questions, so we'll try to get through as many as we can. But just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box instead of the chat, just so we don't miss them. It's just a little easier to lose track of things in the chat. And also, I just want to say one more reminder, we will be making the recording of today's presentation as well as the slides available on HeroX. If you aren't already following the Round 7 HeroX page, I recommend you do that. I dropped the link in the chat at least once or twice, but I'll make sure I paste it in there again before we end today's session. All right, with that, let's dive into some questions. We have some questions on eligibility with citizenship. And Rebecca, just so you know, we're not seeing your slides anymore.
I turned it off.
We can still see your desktop though.
Okay, it didn't stop sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And if you want to pull up the resources, that might be helpful for people to just write down some of those emails or whatnot.
Will do.
Okay, so first question, our team comprises 2 members who are green card holders and 2 members who are H-1B visas legally authorized to work in the US. Are we eligible?
All right, that one is very specific. I would encourage you to email the Solar Prize inbox and we will answer you offline.
Thanks. And yeah, for some of these that are a little more specific, we might not ask them live. To Rebecca's point, if you have a really specific question about your technology or your eligibility, feel free to email solar.prize@nrel.gov. I know you covered this, but just to go back to it really quickly, Rebecca, can you remind everyone what the total funding amount is for the JEDI contest?
The total amount across all 3 contests is $200,000. In the Ready contest, you could win up to $25,000. There is a cap during the Ready contest, but we could split that, the pool, which for the Ready contest is $100,000 up to 10 ways.
Great. And what can you say about how many applicants typically apply to the Ready contest, or what would you say to encourage people to make sure that they apply this round?
To make sure you apply, I would encourage you closely work with a power connector. Power connectors want you to submit and they want you to succeed. So they'll work closely with you. If you're unsure about, maybe it's just simply your idea, am I going to be able to commercialize this? Talk with a power connector. They can help you make a game plan. And otherwise, just engage with them. They can review your submission and reach out to us as you have questions. I wouldn't hesitate applying just because you have one small doubt. There are people who win Solar Prize all the time that don't have everything figured out. And they figure it out by connecting with our network, working with our power connectors, and making it through the contests.
Yeah, and one thing I would also just add to that is that we have no way of knowing if there's going to be future rounds of the Solar Prize. So I wouldn't say like wait and hope that there's another round. Definitely throw your hat in the ring and try applying now.
And to that, I'll just add, even if you don't win, we always send our reviewer feedback to you. So pending funding for Solar Prize round 8, 9, 10, etc., you will get reviewer comments back to help you figure out where you fell short the first time you submitted and what you can do to improve.
Yes, absolutely. And Rebecca, can you explain a little bit who the power connectors are and what their backgrounds are?
Yes. So the power connectors are, organizations that are within our network who we subcontract with because they have demonstrated that they have skills and abilities to help teams advance. The power connectors that we have are very familiar with helping startups and innovators. They act as incubators, accelerators. They have the experience that is needed to help get a business off the ground. They can help you with finding other investors, other funding opportunities. They have a very wide range of experience. And so depending on what you need, I would actually encourage you to reach out to all of them and see which one has the information and experience that best suits your needs. Because ADL Ventures, yet to UACI, the Center for Innovation at the University of Arizona, and VentureWell, they all know a lot about Solar Prize, but they all have different skills that could launch you forward.
Absolutely. And I see there's a lot of discussion in the chat. Jade Garrett, one of our amazing connectors, put her email address and LinkedIn information in there, and Jade's definitely available to help support on submission. So feel free to connect with her in the chat. Next question, can we use the Power Connectors and American Made Network during the Ready contest, i.e. now? I know you've
Yes.
talked about that with the Power Connectors, but maybe a little bit more with the network.
Yes, we want you to. Power connectors, definitely, because their support is free to you. Many of our connectors in the network will meet with you for free to discuss what they can do to help you. But it is important to remember they are companies, they are organizations, and they need clients to move forward as well. So you can always start most likely with a call with a connector to see if they're the right fit, especially during the Ready contest. You're probably just putting feelers out, trying to figure out who's going to be the best partner, who's going to help you get to where you need to be. So the connectors that you engage with, it's going to be a lot of probably calls just to get to know what they're about and see how they can help you. And then in later contests, you'd probably identify which ones are specifically going to help you advance your innovation and work with them further.
And how many connectors can each team list on their application?
That is an excellent question. I think the most I've ever seen listed was 15 connectors. But what's important to remember is during the Ready contest, you can only nominate one connector for a connector recognition award. However, in the later contests, if you advance onto Set and Go, you can list up to 3 to receive recognition rewards. So you can work with as many as you want, but you can unfortunately only nominate one during the Ready contest. I will also note the Power Connectors are ineligible for connector recognition rewards, and that is because they are already subcontracted with us. So don't nominate a Power Connector. We want them to help you. We expect them to help you. Nominate another connector.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question, can you join the network as a connector and also submit to the Solar Prize Ready contest?
Yes, but if you are a connector in the network and you submit to the prize, you are not eligible for recognition rewards because you're competing in the prize. So that kind of goes with you can't submit and then also nominate yourself for a recognition reward, but also it's under the assumption that if you're submitting, you're likely not helping other teams. So that is also why you are ineligible for recognition awards. But we have connectors that submit to the prizes all the time.
Great. I think I have just one more question on connectors before we move on to another topic. Can colleges and universities join the network as connectors?
Yes, we have quite a few colleges and universities within the American Made Network.
Great. Moving on to some application and submission questions. I know this might be a little bit more on the technical side, but we've had a couple people asking about whether solar thermal technologies are eligible.
They are eligible.
Great, thank you. Let's see, what was the next question? Are all of the items in the Ready submission public or only the ones denoted with the public
Only, yeah,
language?
I'm very used to that question. The only materials that are public are noted as public. Nothing else will ever be made public if it is not noted as public in the rules.
Great. Can people submit multiple entries?
You can submit up to 3 entries.
Great. And does a team have to be a company already to participate in the Ready contest?
Not during the Ready contest. You can participate as an individual, you can participate as a small group of people, you can participate as an academic institution. There are no strict for-profit business requirements for the Ready contest, but we do ask that you incorporate going into the Set and Go contests, and you have to do that to be eligible to continue through the prize. But the Ready contest, you can be just an individual or a group of friends.
Great. Okay, would pursuing outside funding while applying and competing in round 7 make our team ineligible to receive any funding?
I think my answer to that is no. If it's outside funding, I mean, the assumption here is you have an idea, you're trying to get it off the ground and commercialize it. So whether you're doing it during the Ready contest or after the entirety of Solar Prize, you're going to need more funding to make your idea happen. So definitely look for it. I do believe during the plan portion of the technical narrative, we do request that if you have received DOE funding, you let us know what that is, because DOE is who funds the Solar Prize. So they need to know who has already received funding from DOE. But if it's outside funding, private funding, angel investors, etc., go for it.
Great. This one's a little bit more specific, but I think related. How should we coordinate Solar Prize efforts with applications under CETO's Notice of Intent?
We have an appendix in the official rules titled Program Policy Factors. These program policy factors do talk about, if you are funded for like under a FOA, something like that, or an SBIR, can you still win Solar Prize funding? And the program policy factors go into those details.
Great. This is a good question. Are there any costs associated with submitting to the Solar Prize?
There are no costs for submitting or engaging with our power connectors except for some time.
Great. I see a couple of people are asking where they can find the list of connectors. We can drop that link again in the chat. It's probably buried at this point, but we'll send around a list or a link to our network map, which has a list of all of our network members and how you can contact them. Let's see. What if we have a proof of concept before the final step of the contest? And it's not clear to me whether they're talking about the Ready contest or the Go contest.
So I'm going to assume that this just means maybe you're a little bit ahead of what we set as the baseline for the Ready contest. And that happens. Everyone is starting at a different spot. We have full corporations that submit to Solar Prize with new ideas that they want funded. We have people who work in their garage and submit an idea they've been tinkering on. So maybe you're just a plan. Maybe you are literally just what you have written down in your Ready submission technical narrative, but maybe you also have a proof of concept or you have a software that's already being developed. What I would recommend is just review all of the criteria and see, like, you should be able to still answer all of the criteria. You're just at a different starting point. And I think that's the best way I can phrase it. You are still totally eligible to submit if you already have your proof of concept ready, but what really boils down is if you're selected, we have to see what progress you make. How are you progressing from the Ready contest into the SET contest if you already have your proof of concept? Where are you going? That's someone who, is starting a little bit further behind. What's your next step? That kind of thing.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. Next question, how is IP handled within the contest?
We always get this question. You own all the IP. DOE does not take any ownership of IP. It is yours.
Great. Let's see. For the technical report, does it have to be what we have already made or tested or explored with customers, or can it also be in the early stages, more of a research or proposed solution?
So this kind of goes back to my other answer. We all start in different places. So, it's very particular. I will say our power connectors do have experience with working with teams at different stages and just assisting them with how to address these different questions. But if you, like I said, you're more or less setting up your roadmap with the Ready submission. What are you going to do throughout the contest? and what's your plan to bring your solution to market in 3 to 5 years? How can the Solar Prize help you? Maybe your idea is, again, just on paper at this point. Maybe your idea has a prototype that's being made and you're hoping to get ready to get it tested. Both of those are eligible. You can submit both of those ideas, but the submissions will look pretty different because you're at different spots. And so I would really encourage you engage with the power connectors when you're developing your technical narrative.
Great. Are there any limitations to 501c3 nonprofits submitting, receiving Solar Prize funding, or being connectors?
No issues with them being connectors. Please join the network. For the Ready contest, you are 100% eligible. You can compete in the Ready contest, but you will have to incorporate or figure out how you're going to have a for-profit business entity during the Set and Go contests.
Great. And I know we have just a couple more minutes. We'll try to get to a few more questions before we wrap this up. And again, feel free to reach out to us at solar.prize@nrel.gov with more specific or technical questions. Or you can also reach out to one of the connectors. I know a couple of people have been posting in the chat with their contact information. Can you elaborate on the types of letters of commitment that you would be looking for?
These can be all kinds of things. I will say in the later phases, we look for letters of commitment that demonstrate agreements that you have partners who are going to work with you. But in the Ready contest, we're looking for people who see value in your idea, want to help you succeed, or are hoping to partner with you if everything goes right. I think that's the best way to phrase it. Our power connectors who work with you can also provide letters of support when they work with you, depending, on what your request is for that letter of support. And it also depends on how much you engage with the power connectors. A lot of them have mentors that they can offer to teams to work with. And so maybe you work with one of the mentors with VentureWell, for example, and then you go on to have them write you a letter of support. Letters of support, we've seen all kinds. There are no actual requirements. They just help boost your submission, especially during the Ready contest.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit more about Demo Day?
Demo Day, yes. I'll talk about Go Demo Day. Go Demo Day, we have historically hosted at RE Plus. This year for Solar Prize Round 6, we will be at RE Plus 2023 in Las Vegas with all of our current Round 6 competitors. They will all give a pitch. They will be reviewed by our panel of judges, and then we will announce selections of our winners, the winners of the Go contest at RE Plus live in front of the whole conference. So that is what Demo Day looks like. For the Set contest, it's a little bit different. It's more of a Q&A session where you talk to, you answer questions from the reviewers so that they can get clarity on your submission.
Thanks. And I think we'll end with this question. Just to clarify, September 27th is the deadline to upload your application to determine if you get, if you can enter in time, and then around 4 months to see if you become one of the 20 winners of the Ready contest.
Yes and no. So definitely submit September 27th for the Ready contest, all the submission materials that we talked about. Submit that by 5 p.m. on September 27th. All of your materials will be reviewed both by our expert reviewers and the Department of Energy. And we plan to announce winners. I believe our tentative announcement date is in December, so a couple months later, but that is because we receive quite a few applications. The review takes a little while, and with the announcement of the winners, that is what kicks off the next contest. So the next contest does not start after the submission deadline, it starts after the winner announcement.
Yep. All right, we're at time. Once again, everyone, I will drop a link in the chat to the HeroX page. If you're not already following Round 7 on HeroX, I highly recommend that you do. But Rebecca, do you want to close us out with final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. We are really looking forward to see what great ideas we get in Solar Prize Round 7. Be sure to reach out to Power Connectors and submit your idea by September 27th.
All right, thanks everyone.